What's up, you guys? Leo here. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about top 5 reasons why real estate is perhaps the greatest investment you can make. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor or anything. I work in the clinical setting, but the past 10 years or so I've been doing and reading about real estate. And I purchased my first property in 2017. There's a video in the link below where you can check out my video and see what I'm doing with my real estate portfolio. Number 1, cash flow. Anyone that knows me knows I'm all about cash flow. I try to get my properties whenever I buy something to get it to cash flow, okay? That is one of my number 1 rules to buying. I don't hold real estate that is gonna lose money. It all makes money, okay? So what is cash flow exactly? Some people have that confused. So to me and to many other real estate investors that I know, cash flow follows a specific formula. First, you have your mortgage. If you bought the property through a bank, you have a mortgage on it. It includes 4 things: principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. If you have an HOA, then it may have an HOA or a condo association fee. I don't invest in condos. I mostly do multifamily rentals. So these 4 things equals your mortgage. So when you make your mortgage payment, let's say you're renting out a property for $1,500, right? You have the property, you have a tenant paying $1,500 a month, I should say. Let's say these 4 things equals to $1,000 a month: principal, interest, insurance, taxes, and any HOA or condo fees. All of that equals $1,000 a month. Now, some people may think, okay, I'm cash flowing $500 a month. That's incorrect. You're actually not cash flowing $500 a month. If your total mortgage cost is $1,000 a month, the tenant is paying $1,500 a month, you're not cash flowing $500, because there are a few things missing here. If you have a property manager, you have to pay them. Typically, they charge anywhere 5 to 10%. If you use a company to do the grass or shovel snow, to do general maintenance work around the house, the property, you're missing that. Any utilities you're responsible for, I try to get my tenants to cover all utilities, so I keep the rent slightly under market so that they have the budget to cover utilities. But let's say you agreed to pay the water bill, because for whatever reason, the town sends the water bill to the owner's name. There's some towns that I own properties that does this. And so you have to factor that in. And then what I do is I factor in 5%, 5 to 10% for vacancies and potential repairs, and that's of the gross, okay, of the gross. So of that $1,500, put away $150 for maintenance, repairs, any sort of vacancies, $150 a month. So now you're at $1,150, and then you add your utilities. If you have property management, whatever that margin is that's left over is what I personally consider is my cash flow. Okay, so like I said, different investors use different strategies. This is my strategy. So cash flow, number 1. Number two is appreciation, okay? And this one is big. Some investors I've spoken with, they focus more on appreciation. So they may try and buy a property that's pretty expensive in like Miami because it's growing fast, just an example. And so they believe they're going to get a lot of appreciation, in those big cities, but they're also paying a premium for those properties. I personally don't invest in overinflated or top markets. I try to invest in just average American neighborhoods, C to B plus neighborhoods, and I still get some appreciation. But that is another one of the reasons you should invest in real estate, because generally speaking, the population of the US and in the world in general is going up. Meanwhile, the amount of land available is remaining constant. Okay, so a lot of this land is farmland, a lot of it is in remote areas and it's not gonna see a lot of growth quickly. So whatever city you're in, if you're in Orlando, like I am, if you're in Miami, if you're in New York, that city, the cost of properties are going to keep increasing. Maybe not as much as certain areas. Miami might go up in value a lot quicker than Orlando. Just the same markets become overinflated in a recession or in a downturn in the market, those markets that go up super quick may fall quicker as well. It doesn't always happen, but it's a general rule of thumb. So appreciation is number 2. So reason number 3, okay, that's principal pay down. Okay, so when you buy a multi-family house or a single family house and you rent it out to a tenant, the tenant is paying you rent, you're using those funds to pay off the mortgage, to pay the mortgage, make your monthly payment. And so over time, as the tenants pay you rent and you use those rental incomes to pay the mortgage, a portion of the mortgage payment goes towards the principal that you owe, the balance on the house. And so as you make payments, the mortgage keeps going down. The balance, what you owe the bank, keeps going down. And as time goes by, the value of the property keeps going up, okay? So you can see there's a period in time where now you have a gap that's getting larger and larger, and that's how much money you have available to you in that investment. Okay, so your appreciation is one, your principal pay down is another one. So those two things together is giving you space. It's giving you what's called equity into the property. Okay, so that's reason number 3. The tenants are paying down your mortgage. Reason number 4, okay, and this one is kind of a conglomerate. There's a lot of many sub reasons within reason number 4, and that's tax breaks. And anything you do when you have rental properties, anything you do for the property is tax deductible. Okay, it might not be 100% tax deductible, it's tax deductible. This is the reason why most real estate investors pay very little to no tax. And again, guys, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an accountant, I actually work in the hospital. I'm telling you this is what I've experienced with my portfolio, so you may want to consult with a licensed professional and see what your tax implications are. But I'm telling you right now, most real estate investors pay very little taxes on their investment properties. So, and those tax breaks, they can be anything from maintenance, repair, stuff you pay your property manager, utilities. It could be stuff like even depreciation, which we're gonna get into, which is huge. It could be stuff like buying a new fridge, a new carpet, getting a new rug, using your gas to go meet with the tenant, right? Because if you're driving to the property to meet with your tenant, that is a business expense for that property, right? Maybe you got Subway on the way to checking on your properties. That's a business meal, right? If you were at home, you would have cooked something at home and, ate home. But now you gotta go manage the property if you're self-managing. So now this meal is part of your business expense. And so like I said, I'm not an accountant, check with your accountants. This is my understanding of it, but major reason to invest in real estate, tax breaks. Reason number 5, depreciation. And this one is big, guys. Depreciation is really, it can be very beneficial, and there are rules to it. The general guideline per the IRS, you can visit the IRS website and look at it. You can typically depreciate a property over 27 and a half years. Okay, so that means if you bought a property that's worth $270,000, right? You can depreciate $10,000 every year, right? What does that mean exactly? That means you're writing off $10,000 off the income, for that property. If you have tenants in that property, let's say it's a 3-unit building that brings you 20 grand a year in positive cash flow, that means 10 grand out of that 20 grand that you're making is not even taxable because you've depreciated it. And of course, there are rules to depreciation. As of, you can't depreciate the land. It has to be the building on the land. If it's a short-term rental, there's the STR rule, which is another thing of its own. You may need to check with your accountant, but that's usually with people doing short-term rentals. There is many other advantages that you need to know, such as, and disadvantages such as depreciation recapture. The IRS generally will say that if you depreciate a property, when you sell that property, there is potentially a depreciation recapture. And there are ways to avoid that, like the 1031 exchange and different strategies that your accountant will speak to you about. Me, this video, very surface level, top 5 reasons why you should invest in real estate: cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down, tax breaks, and depreciation. Okay, so if you guys want to know more about what I'm doing with my portfolio, like I said, check out the link below. You'll see what I gross in my personal real estate. And I'm actually working on building a real estate investment course where I share with you guys exactly the resources that I use to be able to get the rents I get, to research properties, to find lenders, to find agents, what to look for when you get an inspection report, etc., etc. Very wholesome informational package that I'm putting together, coming soon. All right, so let's recap. Cash flow. For me to buy a property, an investment property, I need to get 20% positive cash flow. So 20%, we call that cash on cash return. If I spent, let's just say theoretically speaking, I spent 50 grand to close total, down payment, closing costs 50,000. This property needs to cash flow at least 10,000 per year for it to make sense to me. So right off the bat, 20% return on investment. Let's say the stock market, for example, the stock market returns on average 8 to 10%, right? Something like the S&P 500, give or take. So right off the bat, we're beating the stock market, okay? Now, when we factor in appreciation, when we factor in principal pay down, when we factor in the tax breaks, considering that this cash on cash return you're getting, most of it is tax free once you factor in those tax breaks, and then you factor in depreciation, you realize your actual return on investment is much more than 20%. Okay, so talk to your financial professionals, your accountant, CPA, look at the numbers and see how it works out. But for me, I believe real estate, because of these top 5 things, it's perhaps one of the greatest investments we can make. All right, guys, if you got any sort of value out of this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, okay? By subscribing to the channel, by liking and commenting, it pushes it up to the YouTube algorithm so that more people can find this information, and it helps out my channel as well, okay? All right, thank you guys. See you next time. Peace.